Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome back to AM Awakenings, your weekend edition with myself, Mullah Fudail Jones. This particular segment we are speaking about Nafsopathology with Kareem Maliki, and again we had this discussion for a number of now weeks, and very important, very, very crucial. I think yesterday we kind of touched on the aspect of how important it is for us to have this emotional wellness, and again, the importance cannot be reiterated. Sheikh Kareem Maliki will be touching on the aspect of in Nafsopathology again, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Maulana, and all the listeners on this early hour.
Subhanallah, it is Kusista Sunday.
Let it be we declare the Sunday to be Kusista Sunday. Bismillah.
Barakallah. I always joke whenever people give me Kusistas outside of Sunday, maybe on a Monday, whatever day it is, and they say, no, it's bid'ah. You can't eat Kusistas on other days.
Bid'ah hasana, inshallah.
Bid'ah hasana. Allah accept. So, Kareem Maliki, Nafsopathology, the emotional wellness, it's becoming very popular nowadays, and I think people have realized how important it is.
Yeah, wellness is because medicine is unfortunately not doing its job with all the investments. You can think of the mental health, you can think of oncology, since we are in this month of October. Think how many, millions, billions, no one probably counted, has been invested, but still the outcome is unsatisfactory, to say the least. And because often people cannot find solution in what is today called mainstream official medicine, now people had to invent different title, trying to find things which actually works. Because what's the point? You go to doctors, he tells you all your blood work is okay. What's the point? I am unwell. And when official medicine or mainstream medicine cannot help, so then we have another word for it, well-being, wellness, which is the whole another industry, which is the whole another sphere, which is trying address the same problem from a different angle.
So the nafs plays a crucial role in this particular thing. When a person has now this issue, so as you painted the picture, a person gone to doctor, they can't find anything wrong, but there is something wrong. He can see, she can see there's something wrong. How do they get to the point of getting to you?
Well, that comes from the understanding that the problem is not happening on the level of situation. That's very important to understand, because there is nothing esoteric about Nafsopathology. There is nothing about, I want to become a millionaire, I want to change my destiny. We are not working with the situation. We understand that situation, it is what it is. But the way I deal with situation, the way I respond to the situation is not optimal. And the person takes responsibility to say it. The way I respond is not okay. I'm trying. It's not working. There is no point in trying again. And it's good if the person will understand it and realize it better earlier than later. Because what essentially depression is? Just the word tells you, depression. You are pressuring yourself for way too long. And it can be in different things. Maybe you are doing work which is not yours. Maybe the industry is your calling, but let's say the company you work with, toxic environment, maybe it's toxic relationship, it can be anything, but you are pressuring yourself, you are pushing yourself to keep moving. Now body tells you, no more. And then all energy cut out, we call what they call asthenic depression, which is basically power cut.
Yes.
You're not listening to your body. Maybe you got some depressive episodes, but let's say you're going to antidepressants, some kind of addictions, can be, I don't know, food, can be drugs, can be alcohol, whatever. Body is saying, no, this human being is really stupid. I'm telling him he's going the wrong direction, but he pushes. Let me switch the power off, so he would not even be able to get up in the morning. So now maybe he'll have some time to think. So yes, when we go to that situation and the person understands, well, no, it's not actually working, then it's, as I say, better earlier than later, but better later than never. Then person comes to me. Yeah.
Sheikh Kareem, as you were speaking about the depression, and I just subhanallah, this is not my field, so I'm learning as the listeners is learning from yourself. I met this lady, and she was doing mosaics, man, and she was telling me about her mosaics and so forth, and then she said she's not working any longer because she has depression and so forth. And I'm like, why? Isn't the mosaic a very arts, and so that means you kind of have this freedom and very creative type of space. And normally when people is like needing to get out of the pressured situation, they go and do these type of things. But here I find this lady doing this thing, and yet she's depressed. So I was asking her, and subhanallah, and I found that exact thing that you mentioned, that even though the field that she's in, she loves it, it's very nice. But the moment she has a client, and the client is, look, the deadline, I need this thing. So even though it's a very creative field and very nice, very calming field, but now she has extra pressure that the client wants this thing. And when she produces the thing, the client's not happy. So now she has to redo it. And all of these things, it's so weird and maybe wonderful at the same time, how our lives can be shaped and placed, and this pressure and what anxiety and all of these things happen.
I think it's important to remember it's a symptom, because people walk with whatever emotions, and people like to say negative emotions. Yeah, they are negative because you don't like them. They are negative because you're not willing to listen to your body, because you had this wonderful idea what your life should be, and often this wonderful idea is influenced by neuroses. Unfortunately, like you need to prove something to someone, you need to be the greatest, this ideal of self to cover up some deep inner sense of shame and self-hatred and, self-esteem problem, because you have this idea of overachievement. But it's not realistic. And your body is reminding you what you're doing, let's say this certain lifestyle, this certain, let's say, absence of work-life balance, maybe the company you work in or the industry you have chosen, or maybe let's say it was chosen for you, but you did not actually had a capacity to hold your ground. So basically you went off the track. Now it's by the mercy of Allah that in the same way how, we hurt ourselves and the wounds healed, you can get an infection disease, yet your body is fighting the infection. We're not dying immediately. In the same way, just imagine you have made a wrong decision about, let's say, your life partner, let's say about your place of work, place of stay, friends, whatever. Your body is telling you that decision was wrong. And that body can do it in numerous ways. Sometimes it can remind you that you have lost something. And message of the sense of loss, that's what we call grief, because grief is directed to the past. And then the feeling of anxiety is warning us about some danger which is lying ahead of us. And that's what we call anxiety, fear, because it is directed forward. That's why description of the people of Jannah that every Cape Townian is familiar with, because it's famously recited, La khawfun alayhim wa lahum yahzanun. So in other words, they don't have khawf, they're not expecting any danger in the future. Wa lahum yahzanun. And there is no huzn, there is no grief, there is no regret for something in the past. So basically they are able to live in the now, to be in the moment. And that's what happiness is, because the only way to be happy is now, if you think. Because if you say, oh, okay, I was happy in the past, but not anymore, that's nostalgia. That's not happiness. Or those, wishful thinking about one day it will happen, that's not happiness. Those are, can be false hopes and expectations. But to be happy means to be in the now, because now it's the only moment we have, isn't it? Past is already gone and the future is still not here.
Yes, salam. I love this topic, and the importance of it cannot be reiterated more. If I can get back to the point that you mentioned earlier with regard to the earlier the better, but later is better than nothing.
Better late than never.
Better later than never. Can you perhaps just elaborate a little bit on that particular statement?
Well, when I could give example of never, a late that becomes never. Imagine you have a depression, but a very serious depression. A depression is at the moment when the person is literally not able to get up in the morning, is when the person is not anymore functional human being, functional member of society. Depression, which causes people to commit suicide. So you see, it is at this point, it's already no point to say is antidepressants working or not. If there is a choice between antidepressants and suicide, antidepressants is the obvious choice. But the whole idea is you should not let it happen. You should not go to the point that you are either committing suicide or being hospitalized and admitted to some medical institution just to keep you away from the roof of a high building. So this is what I mean. And there is no need for a situation to be reaching that severe state of depression where you can actually walk with the sense of grief. There is no need to reach to the point where a person is having panic attack and not being able to function on a basic level, for example, to study, to walk, because you can still walk at it when it is at the point of just a simple anxiety. See? Well, if healthy people, they don't need those situations. Well, in the modern times, I think it's important to remember things are not getting better. You know, this idea of evolution and technological progress is not our idea. Really, our idea, we go back, who are the best people? خير القرون قرني ثم الذين يلونهم ثم الذين يلونهم. The best one is the Rasulullah and Sahaba, his generation, then the next generation, then the next generation. Things are not getting better. Things are getting worse and worse. And as we know, at the end, as other hadith says, at the time, the last hour won't come as long as there are people on the earth who are saying Allah, Allah. So literally, the end of the world will come and meet the very worse people. So it means that things are not getting better. Things are getting worse. But as the things are getting worse, the mercy of Allah is just overflowing and increasing. So
bigger opportunity for us.
Yes, like, you know, people always like to ask, people who deny karamat, the miracles of the awliya, they say, how come so many karamats is the later times and not so many in the times of Sahaba? Because, of course, because we need more strengthening, we need more reminders, because things are not getting better, things are getting worse. And yes, as a realization of that, things are getting worse, well, there are solutions. There are solutions for the problems, yes, because those problems were not that prominent in the earlier times. And one of those problems is emotional well-being situation, because if you go back to the early times, you had healthy families, healthy communities. You would not, can you think of the prophetic Medina and people standing on the street, dying of hunger, murders happening on a daily basis, you know, murders and theft and robberies and rapes? Well, that's a new reality, isn't it?
Yes.
So we are facing new challenges. We are not more advanced. We are actually devolving. Things are getting worse. Again, that's our traditionalist perspective. And to deal with these new problems, we need the new solutions. Well, I hope that Nafsopathology will be accepted by Allah as one of those.
Ameen. Allah accept, inshallah. Allah Ta'ala grant khairat and barakat. So, if I can just repeat that statement again, the earlier the better. I'm getting it wrong the whole time. The earlier you get to the point of looking at your emotional well-being, the better. But later is better than nothing.
Later is always better than never.
Subhanallah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept. Just my last question is that if I was thinking as you were speaking, the fact that if a person is going through a traumatic experience that could be something that could lead to a disbalance in his well-being, is it important at that point for us as a community or those around that person to say, look, you need to look after yourself?
It's a very difficult question. In a sense that, you see, and I guess I'm going to differ with the mainstream psychology and the mainstream psychotherapy. We need to be there for the person to help them to cope. Just they would know that there are people, like people say, I am here for you.
Yes,
This is very important, and this should be our basic human right. Because we are there for other people and other people are there for others.
Yes,
this is not going to heal the problem which is triggered by some ancient childhood trauma, right? Okay. Because it has to be worked on a level of emotions, like what I do, right? That's you have special practice and sessions and whatever, but it will be able to cope. It will help to cope. Now, what unfortunately today happens in the mainstream psychotherapy and this so-called talk therapy, where if you cannot get something, well, you have to pay for it and you get it. So if you're going to be really honest about it, if psychotherapy is just going and complaining about your problems, this is not going to work. It is something, what the people call it today in mainstream psychotherapy, building therapeutic relationship, which would facilitate, healing from trauma and so on. But in reality, therapeutic, healthy relationship you should be having with the people around it. You should not be buying it for money, because the moment you're buying it for money, it is not the same. The person doesn't care about your problem. The person is listening to you because you paid person to listen. So for example, with me, I am not listening to people's problems. Sometimes, when I have clients, people come, I guess with the experience of mainstream psychotherapy, they explain that they expect me to hear all the life story, but I'm not there for this, because you pay me for what? To use the skill I have to have you work with your emotions, to reintegrate them, to appropriate them, and to make better decisions. Because why I should be lying and saying that I am here sitting as a friend of yours if I see you first time and the only reason we're having conversation because you paid for the appointment? I think it's very important that we have to be honest and straightforward. It's very important. I am here to help you solve your problem based on the skill I have. Why am I doing it? Because I enjoy it. Because it's something I have learned myself, and I enjoy seeing myself being helpful for other people. And you are here because you want to solve this problem. If you want to complain, if you want to just, let it out, for this you need to have friends and family. Now the problem happens when the person has no one to complain to. And they say, the only person who is going to listen to me is the person I pay money for every hour, for every session. So the job should be, if this is the problem, let's identify the emotional problem that prevents you from establishing healthy relationship. Is it a shame? Is it a guilt? What is the reason of your loneliness? What is the reason that you are unable to establish those healthy relationships? Let's walk through it. Then I can kick you out of my practice, so you could go make friends, family, and you can complain as much as you need, like we all like to complain to each other.
Subhanallah. Jazakumullah khairan. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you. This is a very beautiful, wonderful knowledge that we have learned, and nasiha, subhanallah. May Allah ta'ala grant that we can, learn from it, inshallah. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen, and it benefit each and everyone. I want to say Jazakumullah khairan to you, Kareem Maliki.
Ameen.
May Allah ta'ala bless you, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alhamdulillah, that was Nafsopathology with Kareem Maliki, and we will be breaking for some ads. We'll be right back after the ads.